Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, the United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Pop.
They want NWA? Let's give them NWA.
Who are those guys?
And then there's the other guys.
We're the other guys. We're the guys nobody ever bets on.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Jeremy's making a face like threw me right off. It's 6:05, and you know what that means. It's time for another edition of the Other Alliance Guys, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. Your what? Your number one source for news and information around the National Wrestling Alliance, the United Wrestling Network, and various independents around the world. My name is Tim Wood. I go by Alliance Gold, and I am joined, as always, by my brothers in pod. This man to kind of my left, maybe your right, kind of depends on how you look at it. It's Jeremy. How are you, buddy?
I am here.
Everywhere I go, there I am. And on the other side of me, my other wingman, it's Dave Scooby. How are you, sir?
Doing well.
Good. Well, it's been an interesting week around the world of wrestling, but we got lots of people in the chat already. That's great. Me and Demonetizing Mike have been talking about all of my wife's various illnesses and how they should be cured. Appreciate your help, Mike. I'm not sure she appreciates us talking about it on YouTube, but there you go. Jay is here. Hey, boss. Willie's got the first, as always, Tyrus joke of the day. Tyrus and Grimace from the McDonald's commercials are twins. Mike suggests that if you put Tyrus in purple, he looks like a huge plush. Wow. Tyrus could be could play the biopic based on Barney. That's a long time coming, that one. Could you imagine that? Imagine that, guys? I'm not sure I could take my daughter to that one. Let's see. Yep, there you go. Hey, smile, Dave. Mike says you said it early. Pam is here. Polka Dot Pam. Hey, Pam. You were standing like 2-3 rows in front of Dave. I hope you saw each other at the Crockett Cup, right?
Yep.
Awesome.
Saw her and Heather.
Perfect. Good. And what an event it was. We're going to talk about all of night 2 tonight. We'll get to that in a sec. Yeah, Mike, I'm going to let that ailment stuff go right now before we get too far into it. What are we touching on this episode? As I said, night 2 of the Crockett Cup. So originally we were going to do the pre-show. Jay was kind enough to let us do that, and he was going to do the pay-per-view part of night 2 tomorrow night because there was no USA and not a lot for us to talk about this week. Of course, he's got Power, which had the recap on it as well. But we're doing the whole thing tonight, the whole pre-show and the pay-per-view, because tomorrow night the Alliance guys, the OG, they've got an extremely interesting guest on the show. It is former NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion Barrett Brown. He is joining He is joining the Alliance guys podcast tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm pretty stoked for that. So if you haven't really been paying attention to it on social media, Barrett Brown is the last World Junior Heavyweight Champion before the Lightning One era started, or as the Lightning One era started. He never lost his title. It was just stripped from him when the new restructuring began. And he never had an opportunity over the last 6 years to come into the NWA and challenge for it. I know a bunch of us in the NWA fam were calling for Barrett Brown to be part of that initial tournament, but it wasn't meant to be. And, a couple of years ago, he was like, it's all good. And, I'm not bent out of shape about it. Well, a few months ago, or a couple of months ago now, he put out a challenge to the current NWA World Junior Champion, Kerry Morton, for that title that he never lost. If you go on his Twitter account, he's got a video up there where he openly challenged Kerry Morton, who responded on social media himself with his own video, where he said, I've heard a lot about you. Happy to meet you, and bring everything you've got, brother, because it's going to be a fight. So Dave, Barrett Brown, who I know you know a little bit about, is taking on Kerry Morton for the junior heavyweight title in Arlington, Texas, Friday on the 23rd.
23rd, yes.
It'll be an interesting fight, and as I mentioned, the Alliance guys have him on the show tomorrow. What do you know about Barrett Brown?
He did start wrestling at a young age. He's wrestled a lot in Texas, but also being the junior heavyweight champion back before the Lightning One era. He's well traveled. He will be a very good challenge for Kerry, and I hope this doesn't stop at a one-time thing. I believe the NWA needs to bring him in. I know they have their own plans, but sometimes you got to throw a wrench in there and just mix things up. That he's part of history. Granted, it's previous to the Lightning One era, but this story needs to be told. It needs to either be wrapped up or have a challenge for the belt in an NWA ring, so it's quote unquote official.
I'm
not
excited.
saying it's not official outside of the ring, but what happens in an NWA sanctioned ring is what goes in the history books.
Right. And it is a really cool way, it's really cool, I think, Jared, have like social media has driven like an old loose end, and your the other end of whatever that rope is to tie it all up. And that's all that made this happen.
And speaking of that, I've got one of his most recent tweets that I retweeted out that says, "To those downplaying my match with real Kerry Morton on 6/23 due to Kobe Carino's contendership, at NWA has now followed me and shared my posts about the issues at hand. Who's to say we haven't spoken directly since? Who's to say I haven't signed a contract?"
That is awesome.
It's almost that's great.
This is self-promoting at its best. This is, in this day and age, this is the new normal. This is how a lot of wrestlers interact now, but with each other. This is how feuds get started nowadays. It's not always in front of the camera. So this one's been an interesting one to watch over the past few months and see it build up. And now to have that little tidbit floating around out there, that little seed of doubt, that's always good business.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really looking forward to Jay's interview tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We will blast everything out tomorrow for how you can watch that on the Alliance guys as well. But let's go from 6 years in the past to the present, and looking maybe 6 years or beyond into the future. At the end of Power, Billy Corgan, talking with Kyle Davis in the ring, said he's got big news, guys, and this is going to be a pure speculation session for the three of us and everybody in the chat. But where he said, "I got big news coming," and he said to Kyle, "I know you know it, Kyle." But we can't say it yet. But very, very soon, Billy said, "I'll tell you this. I told the wrestlers in the locker room, and it's tough to get reactions out of wrestlers. So, and I got a big reaction out of this. So I'm really excited to talk about it any ideas, guys, on what it could be that Billy Corgan is ready to announce for the
Another
National Wrestling?
pay-per-view.
Another pay-per-view?
Yeah,
You think it's just 75?
I think so. I could be way off base, but I think that's just a little more of the carny coming out in him. You know, sell him on a dream.
It
Leave
would
it ambiguous, leave it open ended, and let their imaginations go to work. Because I saw in the comments from that, so immediately somebody was like, "NWA is getting TV." You know, it could be. I don't know.
that could be exciting. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they're not currently taping. But that I had not thought about that. Media Mike, I think, tongue in cheek. It's another world title.
That was going to be my other one, or it's another title.
Yeah, the intergender tag team titles. Dave and I were saying before the show, which I would not want, but there you go. Well, here is a lady who knows what it is. It is the manager of champions, the champion of managers, the PWI columnist and QWI award winner multiple time, the lovely Pollo Del Mar. We hope you are doing well after your mishap at the Crockett Cup, which we're covering night 2 of tonight.
Which was complete bullshit. Just saying.
Well, the actual incident itself?
The step over and all that's just bullshit. That shouldn't have happened. I know heat of the moment and wrapped up in the loss and all that. You don't step over your woman.
How could you bring that up?
I'm sorry, but it was horrendous. That's why I had to address it. Because it was. I felt for you. You don't step over your woman.
You got that right, buddy. Jay says, I think they got a streaming deal, a monthly TV taping schedule, something along those lines. Mike says he'd rather have a TV deal than a streaming deal. I'm a streaming guy myself, but
same here. Yeah, I'd rather him have a streaming deal.
Yeah, but we're just fine. Pollo says, I promise everything's okay in the trailer. Pam says, I hated the step over. Pollo deserved better. Absolutely. So here's a little tidbit. But nevertheless, I can tell you it's a little out of left field. I wondered, again, I know nothing. This is a total speculation moment by all of us, other than Pollo, of course, and we appreciate you teasing it. I wondered are they partnering with someone? Is there going to be, if there is a pay-per-view, is there going to be their vision of the Forbidden Door with another company or two? Maybe that might be something. But I don't know, and I'm excited to find out. I hope it's not going to be I don't watch AEW, but I'm aware of the Tony Khan announcements, and they seem to be less exciting every time they come out. So, maybe it's a signing, but there you go. Yeah,
I know that I try and keep my expectations low, so that way I don't get into the whole they've got a TV deal and then it comes and it's a belt. I want to keep those expectations low, so I'm not upset by something that I came up with myself.
Sure. Keep the bar low and let the NWA over deliver. Why not?
Yep.
Right? It can be both a network and all sorts of streaming, so at least it can be counted on any rating format as it is. So yeah, the Tyrus leaving the NWA as a new advertisement sign. Oh my goodness. Pollo says we have a lot of things in the work. Tour and taping dates coming up. Things are exciting and moving forward.
Awesome.
It has been like this weird period of flux, and we seem to be kind of coming out for my money of a little bit of a lower period. But having gone to Mexico, having had the exposure in Australia through the Pumpkins in both instances, and having had I think I can say this: the best pay-per-view of the Lightning One era thus far in the Crockett Cup. I loved it. So it seems to be an up period, and I hope it only continues to get better from here. Really wanted to see you laugh, Jeremy. What does Mike say? I seen Poyo. Why would you tape it? Okay. All right. So what else are we talking? We're talking about Crockett Cup Night 2. We're doing all that. Jeremy's got championship wrestling from Car Shield, Louisville, and Memphis. And Dave's going to do some fantasy booking around who ought to be going after the 10 pounds of gold. And he's going to give you some reasons why maybe it ought to be Chris Adonis or maybe it ought to be EC3. I know which one I think Pam will vote for. I think I know which one the Luchador would vote for. but there you go. Yeah, man, let's get right into it. Let's start talking about night 2 of the Crockett Cup. The pre-show, there's a lot of matches in the Crockett Cup. Had to have been close to about 50. Certainly in the 40s, I would think, over the whole pay-per-view. So night 2's, I imagine, half or just shy of half of those. The pre-show to this, of course, had a 9-team United States Tag Team Championship gauntlet match, which I thought, oh, okay, well, it kind of, the only downside to it for me was that it kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Telegraphed about who might win, because the gentleman had a poor showing, the country gentleman at the Crockett Cup, and we're out in their first match, and I thought, why would they do that to their U.S. Tag Team Champions? And then when this came up for night 2, I thought, okay, I think I know who's going to win here. But it was still pretty decent. The country gentleman, of course, retained in that 9-team gauntlet. Just kind of going through it all very quickly. Dak Draper and Big Strong Mims eliminated the Now via a suplex power slam combo that they've started doing. Magnum Muscle, and they were eliminated in turn by Jay Bradley and Wrecking Ball Legursky. So each team coming out in turn. When Draper, what am I saying? They eliminated Jay Bradley and Wrecking Ball Legursky when Draper landed a flying dropkick and pinned the Wrecking Ball. Daisy Kill and Talos, who did not get out of the last chance match on night 1, eliminated Magnum Muscle with a choke slam from Talos on Draper. Then we had Terrell and Terrence Hughes eliminate Daisy and Talos when TNT hit a 3D on Daisy Kill, much to the delight of everyone. The Spectaculars were next out, but it was Rolando Freeman in there in place of Rush Freeman this time. And Jeremy's shaking his head. The Spectaculars eliminated Devon Dudley's Sons via the flying elbow drop from Brady Pierce. Jack Stain and Blake Troop, the Savages, just came in. And, I mean, Jax popped the trunk on Rolando like, he was popping the cap on a beer bottle with his thumb. The Savages also eliminated the AAA Luchadors, Toxin and Arez via a suplex combo of some sort. And then last out, AJ Kazana and Anthony Andrews receiving the champion's advantage. And I thought, that's pretty good. Like, you got to have the champs come out last in this format, right? They eliminated the Savages to win the gauntlet. Troop, it was kind of a cool finish. Troop had a guillotine choke on Andrews. He managed to get up physically out of it, stand up as AJ Kazana went to the second rope and laid out Troop with a flying clothesline as Andrews kind of fell forward, and they pinned him to retain the U.S. Tag Team titles. Jeremy, you watched this on the pre-show, I assume. You are not a Rolando Freeman fan, I can tell, in when it comes to in-ring action. But what did you think of the match overall? Highlights, lowlights?
overall, the match was solid. It was exactly what you would want a multi-man, multi-tag gauntlet match like that to be. Highlights was the entire match. The lowlights were Rolando. I mean, a warrior's heart is great, but even clearing the battlefield is an important job.
That's really well said. Yeah, good for you.
You know,
Yeah.
it just because you feel that you can doesn't mean that you actually can. And I can see him in there with the junior heavyweights and going after that. He comes across as a Marco Stuntish character whenever we're throwing him in there with the big boys.
You know, to kind of carry on that battlefield analogy, it's the fact that they sell him like a howitzer, right? Like he's heavy artillery. And then he goes in there and he does what he does, and we all kind of go, and then Jack Stane nearly takes his head off with the clothesline, and it's over. Dave, you were ringside, and I wonder if you agree with Pollo, because I do here. I wish the champs had come out earlier in the gauntlet. It would have made it more exciting, but I really like this match. Yeah. Only the Savages and Magnum Muscle, I think, eliminated 2 teams, so they kind of got that rub.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the Savages need it. It was probably a good idea for Mims and Draper to do it. Yeah. But I think that she's got a great point here. How about you?
I do agree with Pollo. Being there live, I heard a little bit about it, but it was one of those things of it wasn't explained to the house. It was a championship match, basically almost a gauntlet match, where teams just came in. And I think in doing so, they're building a couple teams that are going to battle for the U.S. titles, the U.S. tag titles. Plus, there's a couple other teams that are on the lower end, but all they need is a little push.
Right.
So it's working in pushing all these teams to go after a title. And it may not be that they're going directly after the title, after the Country Gentlemen, but it may be that, Team A has to battle Team B before they get a chance to go after the U.S. tag belts.
Right.
So it's setting up a storyline of we're the A team, you're the B team, you're the C team. But it's how they can bump themselves up by defeating one or the other, or if it comes down to it, that there's another 4-man scramble. I don't want to see that, but if we can get all these different teams going after a belt, it makes that belt important.
Right. And Pollo, kind of along those lines, fairly obvious reason this match was important. In a tag tournament where the world tag titles were the number 1 seed, the spotlight needed to be shined on the secondary set of tag titles. Yeah, it's like we were saying off the top, right? They had that badge, this poor showing in night 1. They got this as the consolation prize. They look great.
Yep.
We like the match. And I also think, Pollo, you're right about it's hit and run for Rolando, and that's how he's got to be used, right? It's shoot and scoot, as they used to say in first-person shooters. I'd like to see him slide in under the ring as a manager. He chop blocks somebody, and he trips somebody up from outside the ring, or he just does something like a drop kick to the knee and he's out again. I can't buy him in a match. And I think when it's something like Jack Stane, who probably is 3 times his weight, it just it doesn't sell for me. But it was a fun match overall, and I don't know in this pay-per-view that I didn't like a match, and I'll have to review it as we go. But then, of course, we move on. We get Thrillbilly Silas Mason defeating Dan Moff. I almost said going over, and That's a wrestling term, and it really bothers me when I hear on commentary someone use it. So I'm going to, even as an amateur sideline commentator myself, I'm not going to use it either. Thrillbilly flanked by Alex Taylor instead of our friend Pollo Del Mar. This was a Haas fight. Silas ended up blocking Moff's clothesline with a big boot as Moff ended up loading up for another clothesline. Silas blocked it again, and when Moff went into the ropes for more power, he ran into the thrill ride, that spinning slam. Boy, we all watched the Thrillbilly put on a lot of muscle in the last few months. Like, he just looks fantastic. And, I know he didn't go around the world 80 times with this one, but just to get Moff up for that 720 or whatever it was that he did, that was impressive. So the Thrillbilly, he gets the win here without his lady love present. What'd you think, Dave? What'd you think of this one?
It was a good match. Thrillbilly needed to go up against somebody who had some size. Granted, he didn't have the height, but Maff is just a monster in the ring.
Right.
And if anything, it's building up Silas. It's building him back after the loss on night one. And with Alex Taylor there, it's the start of the Southern Six storyline, hopefully. If you don't know about the Southern Six, it was the 6 minus 2. It was the 4 wrestlers that were on the Australian tour with Smashing Pumpkins.
Mm-hmm.
But they were highlighted. Now, hopefully, they'll bring to light on TV, whether it be USA or Power, and they'll show some of the Australian matches and the interaction that the Southern Six built while on that tour.
I'm going to do a rough approximation of the voice. Ain't nobody even knows about that Southern Six business. Boo, Southern Six. That was terrible. I did my best. It comes from a place of love. They are hateful bastards. Dirty go-getters. But Jay wants the Southern Six. All I want for Christmas is the Southern Six. It's another social media-driven storyline, Jeremy, like we were talking. It's kind of cool, right?
It is. It's an interesting little gathering of individuals, youths in the NWA that seem to be quietly just deciding they're going to forge their own path per se, and do things their way.
Did you say Utes like my cousin Vinny? Is that what you were doing right there?
The Utes.
There's 2 Utes.
The 2 Utes.
That's right. What's a Ute? Yeah.
But it's interesting. This could be, hell, who knows? This could be the next 4 Horsemen.
You never know what could be.
I respect Leos that they're hateful bastards and such, but
F your home record Utes.
I'm here to see what they're all about, and if they actually do come to fruition in the NWA, I think it could be interesting.
Yeah, you know what? It would be, to me, it would feel like kind of like and I know you're going with the Horsemen, but like Dangerous Alliance, where you got like a group of people that kind of makes, like, they don't really make sense. They're from, they had Stunning Steve, they had Arn and Larry Zbyszko, which just seems weird, but which were world tag champs, right? And they had everyone was thrown, and Medusa was thrown in there. Like, that was one of my favorite additions. So we're talking about, just for anyone who doesn't know, Kenzie Page, Alex Taylor, Thrillbilly Silas Mason, and Kerry Morton.
Yep.
Right. So that's kind of cool. Big Chris is here. Big Chris dog. All I want for Christmas is a new NWA booker. Okay. I got it. One of you guys got to read these things for me before they go. I missed up at the top. Pam did have her pick, and Chris Adonis to go after the 10 pounds of gold. We'll talk about that in a bit. And Willie wanted to say, hey, Tyrus can't be injured because he has that picnic pie and hot dog eating heavyweight championship to defend, boy.
Fucking shit.
Yeah, man. Jay says, I feel like the 7-6 are Freebird-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, like why not? It was
I think it could be. I think it could be a stable that years from now we still talk about, like the Freebirds, all of them.
All Willie wants for Cruises is a new world's champion, but Art and Larry were not only the world tag champs, they were also PWI Tag Team of the Year. I did not know that. The Enforcers. Wow. That's cool. Let's move on. Because we got a lot to get through. The NWA World Women's Tag Team Championship, M95, Missa Kate and Maddie Rankowski going against Angelina Love and Max the Impaler. An interesting thrown together tag team. M95 used a lot of quick tags in this one, guys. A lot of nifty teamwork. They did their best to topple Max. Max was largely too strong. The window of opportunity for them opened when Max charged, crashing into the ring post. Love tagged in. She made a good go of it, and she missed the Botox injection at one point. And Kate ended up doing her own kick to the head, boot to the head. What is that move that she called? What does she call that thing again? Anyway, she ends up pinning Angelina Love with
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. That's right. Yeah, it's an interesting choice. I don't eat at that restaurant for social reasons, but there you go. That's what it's called. What did you think of this match? A bit thrown together, Jeremy?
Yeah, I don't like whenever, if you're gonna. At what point did Angelina Love and Max the Impaler do anything to garner a tag title shot?
Yeah.
I don't like whenever they do this, and especially on a pay-per-view. I know it was the pre-show, but still, this is where pay-per-views are where people are paying good money to see your best.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that Angelina Love and Max the Impaler aren't great, because they are, but they're not a tag team, and they did nothing to earn this shot.
Right.
Completely took me out of the match.
It seems to illustrate when they do that, like the message that I get subliminally, if you want to call it that, is that the tag team scene in the women's division is not very strong.
Yeah,
that's the message that I kind of feel it sends. What do you think of the match, Dave?
Overall, it was a good match, but I mean, I agree with you guys. Make the matches mean something.
Yeah.
Nothing against the match. It does build up M95 with another victory and make them a more credible team as they work well together. But they do need to start bringing in either a couple outside teams or have some creative teams within the NWA made that they can go after the belts.
Yeah.
That two other teams in a division really does nothing. That if you bring outside teams in, it builds up your champions as looking strong.
Yep. Really agrees. There's more of them needed. Well, we'll move on. Let's move on because we got a lot to, as I say, we got a lot to go through. NWA World Women's Television Championship match rounds out the pre-show, where Well, it's actually Ruthie J who gets the win here, albeit via disqualification over World Women's Television Champion Kenzie Page. Kenzie seemed like she rolled her ankle on a super kick. Kylie Page ended up doing a run-in for this. She drop kicked Ruthie J. The referee called it for the DQ. I don't believe I'm pretty sure it was a work. Kenzie wasn't actually hurt. It was a. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. It's so long ago now. It's like a week and a bit ago. I think it was an obvious fake out to distract the referee for the interference. So I apologize. It's been a little while since we looked at this, and of course the TV title does not change hands on disqualification. We got to see the belt as the resident belt guy. Trying to be respectful to the belt makers around the world. That's my opinion of the belt. The match wasn't too bad, though. What did you think, Jeremy?
The match was good. I thought it was an interesting way to finish it with the DQ, kind of leave it open-ended. Nobody really lost here. Nobody really won. Ruthie J is a good talent to bring in, and I'm excited to see if she gets to hang around in the women's division or not moving forward. And I'd like to see them run this one back. Maybe no interference or no DQs or something.
She doesn't have a lot of experience, Dave, but she's got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
Yes, she does. Like Jeremy said, I'd like to see them run it back. It's a DQ match. There's no winner, no loser. It was what it was. It sets it up for Kenzie to go, oh, well, you never beat me.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ruthie J's like, well, you never beat me. So let's do this.
Right.
And I mean, if they can bring in some female talent and have them go 1, 2, or 3 taping sessions, it helps them as a talent, plus it also helps build the NWA, because you don't see the same people over and over and over again. There's a lot of great female talent in the NWA, but they need to use them sparingly.
Right.
That shuffle them in and out. If they're done doing a singles run, have them find a tag partner and then go after the tag belts.
Yeah.
Just shuffle things up so it's not the same 3 or 4 people doing the same thing match after match after match. Give them almost 3 strikes and you're out. It's 3 matches and then on to the next person.
Right.
Like that.
I think that's a good idea. Rick Del Santo, the professor, is in the house. Ooh, new logo, Rick.
Ooh.
It's a sexy new sleek logo, my friend. Well, that's a good spot to throw this in, because right before we go into the pay-per-view, hey, our friend Rick Del Santo over at PWZ does a lot of cool stuff with interviews, especially around the Northeast and the independent circus. Well, it's kind of a circus, the circuit. Take a look at this for just a sec.
PWZ Podcast with Rick Del Santo. For all your wrestling reviews, interviews, and news, Rick covers the United Wrestling Network, the NWA, and the Northeast region of the United States independent scene. PWZ keeps you in the zone.
So Rick's super cool. He's obviously a friend of ours, and more importantly than that, he produces stuff all the time. Like his channel, I put the link up there, is always full of something new, sometimes like multiple times per week. So thanks for coming by, Rick. Big Chris Dog says, question to everyone, should doing the 7 wins gimmick be used with the women's TV title like they do in the men's division? I think they've talked about that already. I seem to recall something where that is in place.
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, I mean, in order to build up Kenzie specifically, she seems like the last, perhaps most credible challenger to Camille for the World Women's Championship to me. So yeah,
And she's got 3 people behind her.
yeah,
So it stretch her run out a little bit and build her up properly, and build up Kylie and Pretty Empowered a little bit more, and they could, as a quartet, be a very viable contender for Camille's title.
absolutely. All right, let's get right into the pay-per-view. Let us go. Let's take turns, and I'll stay out of it. I'll let you guys go through the 4 quarterfinal matches that begin, so we can get into the semis quick. Crockett Cup quarterfinal. It is number 4 seed Octagon Jr. and Mistiz Jr. God, I can never say it correctly. They defeat number 21 seed Yabo and Ruffo, the brothers of Funstruction. I'm sure that Jeremy enjoyed that they went down at this point. Octagon flattened both the clowns with a flying corkscrew crossbody. He continued his offensive work with a rolling cutter to Ruffo, and he finished with their with anybody see that truck? With a 450 splash. Happy to see. I imagine Jeremy happened to see you were happy to see the clowns go down in flames, so to speak.
Yeah. I honestly thought that they were gonna pick up this win too, and I wouldn't have been surprised if they had. Like Puyo says, the clowns came out of that tournament looking great, and I can't argue that. I believe I said that last week even. I watched like this as best as I could, but the guys are good.
They are. They're good wrestlers, and there you go. Bad gimmick, don't like him. Next one's yours, Dave. It is Mike Knox, your number 3 seeds, defeating the number 6 seeds, the Mortons, Ricky and Kerry. Ricky started with a low blow from behind to Murdoch as Kerry distracted the referee. The Mortons continued bending the rules somewhat to maintain control. Murdoch was able to crush Kerry with a spine buster. Hot tag. Knox ran wild. It was textbook on the Mortons. Murdoch added one of those sky-high power bombs to Kerry, and Knox and Murdoch, almost decapitate poor young Mr. Morton with the high-low combo to win this quarterfinal match. What'd you think, Dave?
Overall, it was a good match. It played into the size differential. As much as Kerry and Ricky as a team work well together, there's no overcoming Murdoch's and Knox, or Murdoch and Knox. It's just from the beginning, seeing that team, you're like, yeah, that's a winning team right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know either how they got the number 6 seed. It didn't make any sense to me, other than that Ricky's a legend and Kerry's a champion. I understood why Tyrus and Chris Adonis were number 2. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it seemed to kind of fall apart a little bit for me. Quarterfinal match. It is your world's heavyweight champion, Willie's NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, if you will. Tyrus Smash, the Great American Smash Tyrus, and the masterpiece, Chris Adonis, taking on Kratos and Odinson, the Immortals, as they would become called. So the story in this is that Tyrus buckled his knee running into a corner, I think relatively untouched. Kratos goes on the attack like the assassin that he is. He just goes beast mode. He like there's a shoulder tackle to take like the champ down. There's a body slam. They target Tyrus's knee. Tyrus ends up beefing up for a T-bone suplex, and then he hot tags Adonis. Got to give Tyrus credit here. Even in the limited capacity that he has, T-boning suplex Kratos is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
The Immortals weather the storm on Chris Adonis. They're double teaming him. Kratos tried to attack Tyrus on the outside. It kind of sounded like he collided with the barricade somewhere, but I couldn't see it on TV. When Odinson leaped up for a flying attack, Adonis countered with the master lock. It's a master lock submission, Jeremy. And what can you do? It's Chris Masters. It's the master lock. He looked fantastic at the Crockett Cup. Yes, he did, and he wrestled pretty well too. I said Murdoch's wrong. You're right, I did. With Poyo saying the wrong team won this one. There you go. What do you say, Jeremy?
The wrong team won this one. I completely, wholeheartedly agree here. Tyrus can't go. He ran into the buckle very early on in the match and hobbled his leg, and then he can take bumps still, but he can't he's not effective for me in the ring. I don't see him as this great monster that he's presented as. I see him as a hobbled knight that's relying on his squire to hold his sword up for him and everything.
Yep. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. It's like you're buying a car and they're like, it's got leather seats. And you're like, it doesn't have an engine. And you're like, yeah, but it's got a nav system. You're like, okay. It's got all these amazing luxury features. It doesn't go anywhere. Hey.
But you're going to look great sitting in your driveway, though.
Yeah, that's right. Once I tow it there. Odinson, Pam says, deserved that Master Lock finish after what he did at NWA 74.
I do have to agree with that.
100%. Dave, you get the last quarterfinal match as Blunt Force Trauma, the number 8 seed, goes against your number 1 seed, your World Tag Team champions, La Rebellion, Aaron Stevens, and obviously at ringside for Blunt Force Trauma, and Vampiro out with La Rebellion. BFT focus on the power offense to isolate Bestia Seis. I apologize for my terrible quasi-Spanish. I'm Canadian. French is our secondary language, and I'm bad at that too. I'm still working on English. So there you go. The Luchador drop kicked Blunt Force Trauma into each other for a hot tag to Mecha Wolf. The match broke down after suicide dives from one after the other from La Rebellion. Stevens rolled into the ring to try to get away from Mecha Wolf. Vampiro was crouched and waiting on the turnbuckles, but he was pushed down to the mat and into chaos. BFT executes a double flatliner on Mecha Wolf to win. The NWA World Tag Team Champions, Dave, are eliminated. Your thoughts?
Overall, I thought it was a good match. Granted, I really don't like the quote-unquote interference, but it keeps the storyline going. Vampiro being with them with La Rebellion and not Damien being there, I think it's a good thing for NWA and AAA. That if they can do some more featuring of wrestlers both in the NWA and AAA, it's a win-win situation for both. But I do like that they're pushing new teams. Your champions don't always have to win. The belts weren't on the line, but down the line it sets up blunt force trauma, or as the crowd was chanting, BLT instead of BFT. It's another team that they're building up, and hopefully they'll do the Doom storyline. The masks will come off. Aaron will go his way, and who knows, maybe Velvet Sky will be the new manager of Blunt Force Trauma. Yep. But it's one of these things that they're building up some of these teams, and the champions don't always have to win to look good.
I know what this guy was going to say right now. This guy right over here.
I would thoroughly enjoy that. I would like Velvet as the manager for them. I think that would be really fucking good.
I thought you were going to suggest somebody else, but there you go. Speaking of somebody else, the analogy about Tyrus reminds me of when my mom took me car shopping at 16. I was more interested in a nice radio, new paint job, than the engine quality. Your point's taken, and this is a snapshot out of time. But I think I'd like to think that we all have pointed out many times what the value of Tyrus is. It's never been in the ring.
Yeah.
But when it comes to tying a talent to the 10 pounds of gold, it's got to be one who at least has, an engine that fits the size of the particular car that we're talking about. And I think that's a must in this particular.
I expect a 5-tool player to carry the NWA championship.
I mean, there have been guys who haven't been 5-tool players who have carried it, but
they were able to cover up that squeaky fifth wheel.
Yeah. There you go. Let's move on. We got the National Heavyweight Championship, EC3 against Tom Latimer. So EC3 was given champion's choice for his opponent, so he picked Tom Latimer because why not do this all day long for the rest of their lives, or whatever it was he said, because this is a great match. He gave Latimer the option to be honorable and defend the NWA TV title at the same time, or just be greedy and challenge for the national title. And Latimer just said, "Oh, I'll just be greedy then," which I thought was great. Aggressive start to this at the opening bell as fists just start flying. Very competitive match, I thought. Down the stretch, both men ran the ropes, and they're ducking a ton of clotheslines. EC3 got the upper hand to hammer Latimer over the ropes. He retrieved his title. He took a swing, and Latimer ducked, countered for a suplex onto the ring apron. EC3 rolled in, still holding the belt, and the ref confiscated the gold. And when Latimer entered through the ropes, EC3 kicked the middle rope right into Latimer's groin, shall we say. Behind the referee's back, EC3 finishes with a double underhook pile driver, gets the win. Jeremy, what'd you think?
This was what I thought it was going to be. Like you said, started out good and hard hitting. This was what I wanted it to be, and it came through for me. I'm not that big on EC3, but this was a good match for Latimer. We've seen it a couple of times already, but this one felt different than the last ones that we've seen him in. So it was good.
It was pretty good. It was a bit out of left field for me to see this match, Dave, but it was a good fill-in. A lot of matches on this pay-per-view. What did you think?
Overall, I mean, I was glad to see the match, and Tom losing in the way he did with basically underhanded tactics and the ring rope. It builds up your champion. It builds up both champions, but it builds up EC3 as by any means necessary, that he doesn't have to play by the rules. And he's controlling his own narrative. So I'll discuss it in the fantasy booking, but EC3, he's doing what's asked of him. And well, I'll explain it in a little while.
Yeah, and whether or not he's a contender for the 10 pounds of gold.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rocking Chris Candido right here. Can you see that?
Oh,
That's
cool.
My Chris Candido action figure with his own 10 pounds of gold. I just I watched the Dark Side of the Ring episode.
That was a good one.
It was a good one. Just so tired of Tammy, and I want to talk about Tammy so much. I wanted more Chris. Yeah. But that's fine. We get a 6-way scramble for the right to become the number 1 contender, I guess, to the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship, owned by Kerry Morton for quite some time now. So 6 wrestlers end up coming out to this. There were Jaron Fulton, which was, boy, is he painfully skinny.
Yeah.
I hope he put some pounds on, but he was serviceable. He did okay for himself. Thanks for coming by, Hudson. We had PJ Hawks. So glad to see PJ back again. Yeah. What an exciting young wrestler he is. He makes me happy just being there. We had Gags the Gimp. We had Flip Gordon, who, boy, like I said last time, can we just start a petition to get Flip signed into the NWA full time, because he is such an interesting wrestler and so different. And who else? And Joe Alonzo, who had won the right to come to this a 6-way, and it was announced there is a surprise 7th participant, which of course turns out to be the returning Colby Carino. Great shock. He's very sorry to hear if you listen on social media, with everything that happened with the turnover in the WWE. Not turnover, but like just the way that it's been so chaotic, I'm sure, with new ownership that they weren't going to hire for a little while. And so Colby was, parted company with them. And however it is that looked for him, I don't think we especially know, but I'm super happy to have him back. It was first pin wins. Judas entered with Father James Mitchell to powerbomb toss Gags over the ropes onto a pile of bodies below. He carried Gags to the back. Boy, that was a shot. The finish ended up coming down to Carino and Flip. It was back and forth with high impact moves. Carino sealed the deal on a jumping DDT. He gets his shot at Kerry Morton, and the champ came out for a stare down, a seething stare down, Jeremy, with the mustachio sporting Colby Carino, looking like he should be tying maidens to railroad tracks at a Mar. He looked great. What did you think?
I was so happy to see Colby back in the NWA. This was a great way to bring him back in. And then the stare down, we've all been waiting patiently to see that match happen again. So I'm excited for him being back in the NWA, and I'm excited for the NWA to have him back. That's
definitely
at pound for pound, probably their best damn wrestler that they have on the roster.
He's come so far, Dave, and like, how long has it been that the NWA had him? 2-3 years?
I believe it was maybe 3 years ago when he did Circle Squared, and he and George South wrestled. And I mean, he's leaps and bounds. And I think by default, him being the number one contender for the junior heavyweight title and Kerry holding it, and with what happened with Kerry and Ricky, I mean, Colby isn't a face by any means.
Right.
Right.
But in this circumstance, he's the good guy. He's not a face, but he's the good guy. He's going after the belt of the guy who's condescending and talking down to people, and I'm a second generation superstar. Well, you wouldn't be where you are if it wasn't for your dad. You could say that for both of those guys, but Colby has gone out of his way to make a name for himself before he came to the NWA.
Yep.
It's true. Yep. And even if it doesn't go that way, if Colby isn't a face, or he is for a short period of time, I get to have that back in my mind, thing that I always went on about when he was around before, the Fortunate Sons tag team, right? He and Kerry Morton, our dads were world champions. We deserve better. I think that would be so much fun. Willie here says, is Blake Troop and Jack Stame a permanent tag team? I mean, I don't know. They seem like they're doing pretty well overall. They got some wins in the Crockett Cup. Pam says, love me some PJ Hawks. Me too. Poyo says, yeah, I wish we had Joe Cassio back too. He's super talented junior heavyweight. Yeah, he is missed. He kind of came in around the time of Dak Draper. And there was sort of a, I mean, I don't know if this is the reason or not, but there was sort of a, they're both kind of, one's bigger than the other, but they're kind of similar in their presentation. So maybe that was part of it. I know he's a big fitness guy. He's got a camp that he's always doing, Joe Cassio. So I'd love to see him back. Willie says Flip Gordon can compete in the junior heavyweight division. 100%. Would just love to see him snapped up by the NWA. Love. Colby says Poyo is fun surprise for the fan. My biggest mark out pop of the night was Colby Carino coming across that stage. So happy. I'm such a fan. Pam also so happy to have Colby back. Difference between being a face and a crowd favorite. Colby's the crowd favorite. So your point is taken. We're happy to see him despite whatever way he may be aligning. And great to see Bobby Fulton's son debut. For sure, nice place to debut as well. So fantastic. Mandy's here. Hey, Mandy, welcome. Good to see you again. Thanks for showing up. So after that big surprise win by Colby Carino and the stare off with the champ, we go to the semifinals as we near the end of the Crockett Cup. It is number 8 BLT maybe going over. Yeah. Going over, I said going over again. Defeating Octagon and Mystices. I think I said it that right that time. Yes. As close as I'm going to get, Boyo. If BFT uses their power in this one to isolate Octagon, hot tag to his partner, the Luchadors work on their high-flying damage kicks out of a frog splash and a shooting star press. And Carnage disposes of Mystices on the apron off camera and enters the ring as the illegal man to kick Octagon. They finish with their double-team flatliner. It is BFT going through to the end. What'd you think, Jeremy?
I want bacon sandwich now, damn it. No. This was a good match. I enjoy Octagon Jr. and Mystices Jr. And Baltimore's Trauma is we know who they are under the masks, and both talented wrestlers. I'm still hung up on the Velvet being their manager. I'm not sure why, but I think that would work really, really well now, and I want to see that now.
I was, it's a great idea. If we get to see the Hughes brothers, especially with the 3D connection, I'd love to see Velvet manage them. There's a connection, albeit not one that is talked about on TV, to Bully Ray. And we know Bully's friendly with the NWA. We know that Brother Devon has been. I think he was at the Fan Fest for the Crockett Cup, so maybe there's something that could be worked out there. What did you think about the match, Dave?
To me, I mean, it was a great match. It was. I'm still growing on the Lucha Libre style and making it believable, but those guys were incredible in ring. But it came down to size over style.
Yeah.
That it was just blunt force trauma. I mean, it was brute force, just double teaming and doing what needs to be done to get the job done.
Right.
And I mean, it was great to see them actually being pushed.
It was, yeah. Pollo's saying I spent a very wonderful 45 minutes with Devon at Crockett. Amazing. Yeah, it was nice to see them push, wasn't it? And I did very well by chance in my brackets this year, by chance. I had BFT going a fairly long way, but it's nice to see. I mean, they kind of teased a rocky start for that particular team, but here they are in the semifinals. The other semifinal match, Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch defeating Tyrus and Chris Adonis. So Tyrus enters with his knee tape from the injury on the previous round. So Adonis starts this match. When he's in trouble, Tyrus ends up reaching over, tagging himself in. Murdoch and Murnox, for those of you who like the name, I do, immediately targeted the world champ's knee. Tyrus did hit a belly-to-belly on Knox and finally tagged into Adonis, who's running wild like the future world champion he is. He hits that flying shoulder block to set up the master lock on Knox. Murdoch enters the ring, so Adonis lets go and puts the master lock on Murdoch instead. Knox charged for that running crossbody. Brief pause. I love that running crossbody that Mike Knox has started doing. It's so good because he's so big and it's so quick. It
shouldn't work.
Yeah, it is awesome. And on Adonis, as Murdoch, ducks out of the way, Murdoch ended up pulling Tyrus off the apron. Adonis was stranded looking for a tag. He can't find it. They do the high-low combo. Don't know what they call it yet, but the high-low is as good a name as any. And they take him out. Not much you can do without a partner present. Good storytelling too, Jer. Where were you when I needed you? What did you think?
I enjoyed how that ended with him just kind of, where in the fuck are you, pal?
Yeah.
That's a good way to build up towards what I hope we get to see in the future is them squaring off at the next pay-per-view for the title. And this is a good stepping stone for that.
Yeah, I'm going to 75. I want that at 75.
Yeah.
I want to be there for my first NWA event since I'll figure that one out. 94? I don't know. When was Sabu champion? We don't get the NWA coming around here very often. So I'm really that's the match I want to see in the main event. Dave, what'd you think of this match? What'd you think about the storytelling?
I mean, I loved it. It tells a story. I mean, the guys going all the way, the communication breakdown between the Midnight Riders, which I really didn't get why they were calling them the Midnight Riders unless it was just a tribute to Dusty.
That's why. Yep.
And I'm like, okay, well, you're missing the masks, but whatever.
The mask, by the way, would have been hilarious.
Oh yeah,
if they switched places.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a great match. It showed, like I said, the communication breakdown for a future confrontation, hopefully for the belt. Of hey, I did my part. You weren't there when I needed you. Knox and Murdoch, that high low, that combo. I mean, that move. I mean, it takes you out. It's one of the best finishing moves because there's nowhere to go. You're basically, I mean, it's high low. You're getting hit up top, and swung out from underneath. It's just it's insane.
Yeah,
and it's great. It's a great finishing move, and I mean, both those guys are 250, 275, maybe 300. My God, it's just they're a wrecking crew.
They are. I thought that for a while that was their name, but it seemed to kind of die off early. They just stopped promoting it. So Knox and Murdoch is fine with me. Let's just do that, right?
Yeah.
I think I said shoulder block, and Willie said, I'll take a shoulder steak sandwich, provolone and Swiss cheese, grilled onions and mayo. We're killing Jeremy. We're killing Jeremy right now. Pam and I agree. Adonis for world's champ at 75.
100%.
But you know who else is killing Jeremy right now? Pollo's killing Jeremy right. Pollo, this is a 30-minute discussion that we can get into right now. I will think about that.
Not to say obvious sarcasm. I think she just saw me just like
no. The Midnight Riders, Dave Tyrus is the Midnight Eater.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one. Jay says, I thought Adonis was going to force the tap. He's made Trevor tap before. Yes, obvious sarcasm. But yeah, I mean, it was a good match overall. Pam says Adonis did as well as anyone could. Have 2-on-1 against Knox on Murdoch. So there you go. Sabu was champ around 2000. Last time I saw an NWA match. Or event of any sort. And even then, it was an independent title defense outside the NWA. So I think he was champ for 38 days. So it was a very tight window. What is this here? No way you can find a mask that would fit on Virus's face. I must have missed something. Jay, I'm sorry. The Wrecking Crew combination of Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch. Perfect. Love it.
No way you could find a mask that would fit on Tyrus's face.
Oh. Got it. Yeah, it would be hilarious just for the Killer Bees Doom BFT style swapping in and out. Although BFT doesn't really do it. Yeah, we got Jeremy figured that one out, but thank you, appreciate it. We move on to an unsanctioned match, right? Because that was the semifinals. It is the masked mystery man. Doesn't have a name yet. Taking on Scion. So this fight came about after the masked man in a Scion mask attacked Scion on night one. Scion was in control until the masked man reversed an Irish whip and sending Scion into a trash can. This was again unsanctioned, so he dominated from there. Though Scion crawled towards his father at one point to help. Austin Idol turned his back on his son, turned back to pop him in the head with a set of brass knuckles. Jordan Clearwater ran out to check on Scion, and Idol punched Clearwater too. The referee stopped the match since Scion was knocked out, could not continue. The masked man just kind of, stood over the bodies in the ring, and Idol went into the ring and he spat on his own son. It was There is no more Scion and Austin Idol championship wrestling from Jeremy. Your thoughts on the match?
That no good old bastard.
Dirty no gooder.
This is what we wanted to see, though, right? We wanted to see Idol finally turn on Scion, and we got that. I really dig the guy that they brought in as the Dark Scion, whatever they're going to call him, the Masked Mystery Man, whatever. He's nose to nose together. They look like mirror images of each other.
Mhm.
Both same builds, roughly same height and everything, same style in the ring. So this is I'm looking to see where this goes and how they play this out moving forward.
Yeah, me too. What did you think, Dave?
I thought it was a good storytelling match. It wrapped up the Scion being the sun, and I jokingly posted that the new Scion that it's his step half twin brother. That they're wearing masks, but when he came out, there was like a hissing noise, and when I watched the match back, they referred to him as White Noise, so that may be his name, and that's one of the little things that if they already have a name picked out, use it. But it's one of those things. They finished one storyline, and the switchover is now they have another storyline to tell. So you have Idol with the new Masked Man. Jordan Clearwater can be the second, have him get a manager's license, and have him be a second to Scion. That this will tell a story of hopefully down the line they either team up as a masked duo, or one of them goes away.
Yeah.
Is it time to take the mask off of Scion?
Sounds a little egotistical, don't you think?
Not yet. There needs to be a match down the line. I'd give it a good 5 to 6 months storyline taping wise. Maybe 2 sets of tapings. If they can tell a story and even go out on the independents and tell stories, whether it be at Kazana's or down at Wildcat or wherever, take this story around to the different promotions and tell this story. And when they do that, if it's outside of an NWA ring, give us some video of it. Keep the story going, even if it's not on TV.
Yeah, that would be super cool. And
have it come down to a mask versus mask match where loser has to unmask.
And the way it's been going through social media, whether it's from the NWA or without, is, we're paying attention to that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Barrett Brown, like we were talking about at the top of the show, and so on. That's worth something. The Southern Six is basically all, social media based, and it seems to be getting traction that way. By the way, not that he needs it, because he's the prince of podcasting. But shout out to Gary Horn, because at the end of Power, Billy, quite jokingly, I'm sure, said, like, our social media accounts are on fire. Well, kind of. Listen, man, Gary and Will do a tremendous job. So shout out to those guys. Let's go here. Willie says, Idiot Mania Sports Management is sinking like the cruise ship Titanic. 100%. I mean, does it even exist anymore? Not really. It seems to have faded into that good night. Masked Man Jay says is Masked Mystery Man is what they called Scion originally. Pollo points out that the new masked man is a skilled wrestler who has performed in the highest stages. I did try to look to see who that was, but I haven't figured it out yet. And
I haven't either.
Nobody tell me. I want to. I'll put the work in. Sorry, I have to say no to that. PWI, however, referred to him as Dark Cyan. Yeah, that works, and have him in the current NWA top 10. The Reluchador.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dave. Oh,
I was just wondering. It was either USWA or it may have been Global at that time, down in Texas. Global Wrestling back in the late 80s, I believe, maybe early 90s. They had the Patriot and then they had the Dark Patriot.
that's right.
So who knows? It may be a takeoff on that. So we'll see.
There you go. Pollo just said exactly the same thing. Patriot versus Dark Patriot. Yep. The Reluchador says Billy is hopefully rewarding us with a break from Winston Idol because that'd be nice. Super thin these days. Austin lost a lot of weight. Hope everything's okay. And then it's a healthy turn. J. Cal says the real swerve is Robert Anthony is the new masked man.
Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Pollo knew exactly where you were going. Doug Gilbert, the Dark Patriot.
Yep.
Well, Wilkes and Gilbert. Del Wilkes. Where did we go there? Well, Pollo then. Oh, thanks for the explanation. Austin had a terrible stomach flu. He lost a significant amount of weight during a 2-week sickness. Bless his heart. Oh, I hope he's feeling better because it was noticeable for sure. But yeah, hope he's doing well now. Our best to him. Pollo, of course, then spoke about her relationship with Thrillbilly. She blamed his actions from night one as being distracted from EC3's mind games. Didn't believe that his behavior towards her was personal and that everything's great at home. And commentary kind of chimed in and wondered if Pollo might be in denial. I don't make the news; I just report it. What did you think about this, Jeremy? I'm going to talk about her like she's not here right now. That's terrible.
I was glad that Pollo came out and addressed the situation and allowed us a peek into the life that her and Thrillbilly's personal life outside of the ring. She didn't have to do that. That's what happens with their relationship is their business. I was still disappointed though with the Thrillbilly. This is the first time I was ever disappointed with in anything that I've seen Thrillbilly do. I get the distraction and EC3 is a master manipulator and can get in there and play those psychological mind games and really mess with the old nugget. But damn, you don't step over a good woman.
Dave, you want to throw anything in on this one?
I'm just going to say as the world turns. I'm just going to wait and see what happens. It was to me forgivable. It was a miscommunication and the wrong person got the boot. But then when Pollo was laying there and Thrillbilly walked over, that was a 180.
Yeah.
It was. It was pro wrestling. It's pro wrestling, right? Jeremy.
Now that's our business, Pollo.
We then go to our 2 last matches of the night. The NWA Women's World Championship. It is the Brick House. Camille, 2 years as champion. she is facing the crush, Natalia Markova. Camille controlled her with power for much of the match. By the way, I think it was Hiban who took the picture of, if you've seen it online, of Natalia doing the splits on the apron with her arm in the air as Camille is just landing that drop kick through the ropes. She hasn't even seen it. It's just connecting. What a shot. What a great photographer. Camille controls her with power for much of the match. She rallies with the kicks that are her specialty. She went high risk on the turnbuckles. Camille ended up popping up for an avalanche German suplex that Markova kicks out of. Camille charged for the spear. Markova blocked that with the knee. She hit a double arm DDT for a dramatic kick out by Camille. Markova had her eye on the that spinning kick that she does, the beautiful
destruction, isn't it?
Destruction, thank you. God. But as she runs in to pick up speed for that near the end, Camille explodes with the spear for a win, Jeremy. I don't like the spear, but this was a pretty good one overall. What do you think?
This was probably one of my top 5 matches of the year so far. Very well executed by both talents. I had me on the edge of my seat. I'm not the biggest Natalia Markova fan, but the way that she's been built up, I would not have been surprised at all if she had gotten the 3 count on this. I'm glad that she didn't, and we still have our 1 time, but very good build up to this match. Very good build up for Markova going into this match, and the match delivered on all points for me.
Yeah, I agree. If there's top 5 matches of the year for me, Camille's probably in at least 3 of them.
Yeah.
What'd you think, Dave?
It was a great match. Seeing it live, just both of these women gave their all in this match.
Yeah.
Now, Camille has been wrestling for a couple years, but she has it's amazing what she's done in those couple years. And she's slowly but surely expanding her horizons, and she's surprising you with moves here and there that you haven't seen before. So it's one of these things of you never know what to expect. Granted, she's doing the spear, but that's not her only move. She did it once, it got blocked. Most people wouldn't try it again. She came out, and that's one of her finishers. But as she's building her reign as the holder of the Burke, she's expanding her horizons and trying different things. But it's one of those, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Yeah.
That a lot of people, okay, hey, that got blocked, or that didn't work out. Well, let's try it again. You never know, it's not going to work until you try it.
Constantly delivers, as Pollo says here, but first of all, very, very good match, she points out. Super fun to watch in person, I bet. Camille, the Brickhouse NWA Women's Champion. Where Lucas says, Camille is just goals. She's made me love wrestling. I come back to watch because of her. Any Camille match is the match that Raluca gets up for. Like, this is the one she's come to watch. Steve G, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Willie likes Natalia. Pollo says, I work for PWI. It's pissing me off that the magazine doesn't rank Camille higher. Her matches constantly deliver. I guess it's just the size of the national stage that keeps that down. But, I mean, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Name a pay-per-view that she hasn't stolen the show at in the last year and a half. It's crazy. but she retains here. And of course, the finals of the Crockett Cup are at hand. It is Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch, the wrecking crew of Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch, or Murnox if you like. The number 3 seed going against the number 8 seed Blunt Force Trauma. BFT isolates Mike Knox. There is a hot tag to Murdoch. DDT to Carnage, but Damage breaks up the pin. There's a ref bump. Murdoch sandwiches the referee on a running splash in the corner. Murdoch plants Carnage with a pile driver, but the ref was out, so there's no count. Aaron Stevens wallops Murdoch with a loaded punch. BFT's manager places Carnage on top of Murdoch and revives the referee. This is where Luke and I were going, no, come on, not like this. Like, this is such classic. It looked like so legit. It was going to happen. Murdoch makes a dramatic kick out. Knox enters the ring, re-enters the ring for the high-low combo with Murdoch to pin Carnage. The Crockett Cup is celebrated as we go off the air with Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch hoisting the very impressive-looking Crockett Cup high. Jeremy, what'd you think of this thing from the NWA? This team winning.
This is exactly who. As soon as I found out that they were in the Crockett Cup, this is immediately who I had as the winners. It wouldn't have mattered who else got put in there, even if FTR got put in there. I still would have put my money on Murnox. It just they look like ass kickers.
Yeah.
Because they are. It was a great match overall. I liked the little tease there of Blunt Force Trauma possibly getting it and then not. That was a great little edge of your seat hand wrencher right there for a moment. But like I said, Murnox was who I had picked from the moment that they were announced that they were going in, and there wasn't anything that was going to change my mind about it. And I'm glad that I didn't, because yeah.
Yep. Very solid pairing. They feel legitimate. They were my pick too. As Poyo says. Dave, did the right team win?
Definitely. I mean, in the finals in this match, the right team went over, but you also built up another team that, along with Craig Totenson, you now have at least 3 teams that can possibly go after La Rebellion. And it's going to be, hey, we won the Crockett Cup. We have a chance at this. We want to go after the World Tag Belts. Well, BLT or BFT, as they're known, they can say, hey, give us another shot. If we win, we go after them. We lost to you guys at Crockett Cup, but the only reason we lost is because of whatever, Aaron's interference. The ref wasn't doing it right, blah, blah, blah. There's stories to be told, and they built up several teams to go after those belts.
Yeah. 2 years in a row that the right team has won, last year being Dem Boys. Yep. The only thing I would have liked to have seen is like just an extra sprinkle on top of the cherry, on top of the whipped cream of this particular pay-per-view that I loved, would have been to have Mark Briscoe present the this year's Crockett Cup. I thought that would have been amazing, and I don't know, but this was great. It was. I got to tell you, super happy with this pay-per-view. Yeah. And, I wasn't a big fan of 312, and I wasn't a big fan of Nuff Said, really. And, it's so amazing to be re-immersed into the NWA like this. And, like with the exciting stuff that WPC talked about at the at the end of Power, and whatever that news may be. I've been thrown off by my wife's comment. I'll put it up in a second. But anyway, I'm so glad to be able to just completely, be a fan for this again on all cylinders. Gentlemen, did you see what Camille said about being the NWA's only traveling champion? I saw what she said about being the only fighting world champion when she basically just ran down Tyrus. It made me think, I wonder if someone's going to say, let's give her a shot at the 10 pounds of gold. I don't know. Poyo points out the women have constantly carried the NWA pay-per-views. I have mad respect for them. Me too. Yep. Even back around the earlier days of Power, like one of my favorite matches of all time is, Camille and Thunder Rosa, when it ended with like Thunder, coming up with the middle finger at the end. It sticks with you. Just the performances they put out, and it's incredible. Not only for those little moments, but just everything they give out there in the ring. Does Power return next week? Well, it's difficult to say. They've been putting out Crockett Cup recaps with some of the matches here and there. There hasn't been a taping. And there is news that there's an announcement coming that we're all going to be very excited for. So I don't know. I imagine there will be some kind of programming Tuesday at 6:05. But we'll see. And Reluca says, I just want to say that I went from not being able to name 10 wrestlers to picking the correct Crockett Cup champs in a year. NWA has its charms. It does. She did pick it right. I got her picks right here in front of me. Tyrus can't be ruined. Can't be ruined. Done enough. Tyrus is a terrible champion. I get the sentiment of that. Genocide and Freya the Slayer really would like to see. I haven't seen Freya in a while. Isn't she in OVW?
OVW now. Yep. She's their top women's talent over there.
But we must go now, in the interest of time, over to a segment that we like to call Championship Wrestling from Jared.
I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
United, we stand. The following is a presentation of the United Wrestling Network.
It's time for Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
The top 3 matches from Hollywood. Oh, Irvine, really. I don't really know California. It feels like they're the same place. Louisville and Memphis. Over to you, Jer.
We're going to start out with Memphis, and the match that I picked from this was Mike Anthony versus Cordell Roberts of the Roberts Family Legacy. And just in case, Cordell is Aaron's brother. Mike Anthony started out strong, but it was short-lived as the Roberts family took full advantage of every time the ref's back was turned. He was constantly getting co-cocked by either Justin or Big Red or Aaron every time the ref turned his back. Just as he was starting to get the upper hand, Aaron broke up the pin attempt, giving Mike Anthony the DQ victory. The Roberts family had a brief window of time to deal some punishment before K. Toomer came out to make the save. Toomer and Anthony shook hands after, and we could see a new tag team pairing in Memphis coming up. I'm kind of disappointed, and this is the storyline that K. Toomer's getting relegated into now. But on the flip side of that, I'm interested to see where this pairing goes and what exact story that they have in mind for them. Do we see a possible return to the dark side for Mike Anthony, or does K. Toomer come out of this as a new heel force to be reckoned with?
I mean, I don't think he's going to get a third shot at Gun Show. So unless Gun Show goes heel and does something nasty, then they missed the boat. They missed the boat on K. Toomer.
Yeah.
It was time. He was the man. He's still the man. And I don't dig the tag team thing either, but boy, what a tag team that is.
Right. I gave the honorable mention to the match between Alan Angels and Tim Bosby.
Yeah.
Another banger match from Bosby where he got pushed to his limit, but squeaked it out. Alan Angels looked great in it. We then jump to the United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Championship Lumberjack match between Jordan Clearwater and Danny Limelight. The Lumberjacks included the Institution's Jack Banning, Honest John, and Brendan Devine. Had Papo Esco and Slice Boogie out there. Sledge, the Wolf Zaddies, Bad Dude Tito, and Che Cabrera. Had EJ Sparks, Richie Slade, and Flex McCallion, a beef candy. This was a hard-hitting roller coaster ride of a match. Both men, it constantly was going back and forth between them. Jordan was on top of his game, but that wasn't enough for Danny as he retained the belt. Something interesting happened there right towards the end where Slice Boogie ate a heel to the face from Danny Limelight because Jordan got out of the way, pulled Slice into the path of it. But I feel that we may be starting to see cracks in the foundation of the bodega. Slice has been quite vocal and quite dominant since he's came back. And he kind of was standing off to the back there as it faded to black for the show. Kind of had a little bit of doubt on his face, so I don't know. Honorable mention this week goes to Sledge with Halston Body versus Dom Kubrick. Hell of a match there, too. And then we've got Derby City Wrestling. And my pick this week was Zicky Dice, Beck Reeves, and Garrison Creed versus Audacity. The match was good, but Zicky Dice holding his hand out for a tag and never getting one was just, I loved that. It was perfect.
Yeah.
And then to slap, I think he slapped Garrison Creed and then just kind of even came back a couple of times and just and left.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see where Zicky's going with his storyline moving forward. We haven't got to see him too much in action in Derby City, but I feel that that's going to change here moving forward. And if you're not watching any of these, shame on you. Shame on you.
You let them off easy this week. Oh, you keep going.
Shame.
Shame. Shame. It's like Game of Thrones, that woman who just walks around.
Shame.
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 I've got some comments around here. Mike Anthony, Steve G says will be a great NWA champion. You book Mike Anthony into the NWA as the genetic nightmare that he is. He'll destroy everyone.
I want to touch on that for a second because I believe it was a lariat that he took from Cordell in that match, and he went face down, ass up, and was just like just saw and then fell over, and then took a hit right after that and didn't sell the move the same, wasn't in the same, but still hit that stiff for a moment and then goes limp. You don't see selling like that. You're not really seeing too much selling like that right now. And that's typically how the body reacts whenever it gets shocked like that. It stiffs and then it limps.
Right.
You know, he's putting a touch of realism into it that you're not really seeing right now.
Yep. He is super good. I'll agree with you there. Jay tells me Irvine's very different from Hollywood. Okay. I don't know.
Never been that far west, so I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, man. It seems like, I know they're not championship wrestling from Hollywood anymore. but it seems like everything's from Irvine, so maybe that's why. I don't know. The gun show, Willie says, Brett Michaels, our Big Swole, Justin Cole will be great NWA World Heavyweight Champions. I don't know. TV.
I read in the Discord, I don't remember who put it up. I think it may have been you, Tim, that he just kind of feels like a one-trick pony.
The gun show.
Yeah. And I'm starting to get that.
Yeah. He's very plain. And,
yeah.
I get the appeal to the geographic area that he's in. Like, I think he probably fits in right at that, like right in Memphis as a city. But so does K-Tumor. Give me that guy 10 times out of 10 anyway.
Yeah.
But hey, Willie, to each their own, man, and much respect for your.
Michaels is great, but it seems like he only has that one persona. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of layers to him there.
Right. Finally, match of the year candidate Steve G. Clearwater versus Limelight was really, really good.
Yep.
And I know length doesn't mean classic, but it went on for a time, and it was worth the wait. To see the ending of that. But even Clearwater, just at the end, just sitting up after he's pinned, going like, I don't. He plays such a campy. Everyone here is ugly, and I will leave if you don't. And then at the end, he looks so legitimately like, I can't believe it's over. Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, appreciate that. Thank you, sir. And we move on now as we anchor the show, as always, with a segment we call I Respect You, Booker. Dave, you're going to talk us through whether or not it should be Chris Adonis or EC3 going for the 10 pounds of gold. Talk to us.
Well, being that Tyrus and Adonis were just in Crockett Cup, there's a little itch that needs to be scratched. Adonis didn't want to be his partner in the first place. Then he accepted. Then they lost because Tyrus was nowhere to be found to help their team win. So definitely there's a story to be told right there.
Yep.
Have Adonis and Tyrus part 2 at 75, build it up with friction back and forth over the next couple months. I do believe that there's going to be a pay-per-view coming up in July.
Mm-hmm.
They just need to confront each other there. They need to have separate matches. They need to confront each other and take it from there. The story tells itself. There's hard feelings. In that loss, they weren't there for each other.
Right.
Now, Adonis can work another match for the 10 pounds of gold, and in doing so, he can make Tyrus look decent to good in the ring. And I wouldn't mind if there was a title change. It doesn't have to be for long, but give Adonis a little run, whether it be 3 to 5 months of TV time, which is maybe 2 tapings, if that. Now, Tyrus as world champion, he's lost basically everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Idle Sports Management is off doing their thing. Black G's is not there. Church's Money. So it's almost time for a reset. So they need to take Idle, Scion, the new Scion, and Clearwater, take that storyline and put it off to the side. Not saying it's a bad thing, but put it off to the side in that it's strictly an Idle issue. That there's no crossover of a storyline. We were once all a happy family. Nobody's happy now. everybody's pissed.
Right.
I'm not sure when G's will be back, hopefully soon, but they need to make a pivot on this and take that story away from the story of Tyrus as champion. Now, on the other hand, EC3 is the national champion. He can help build up other talents, even in them losing to him as the national champion. He's only held the belt for a little while, so many of the talents that can come after him were in a tag team for Crockett Cup, but that doesn't mean that they can only be a tag team. I mean, have Mims come in, have Draper come in. Each of them get a shot at him to build both themselves up and build that national title up. That if their tag team isn't featured in the storyline, have them support each other. And when one loses, hey, give me a shot. We're a tag team. We got this. You could do Mims, Draper, maybe even Brady Pierce. Spectaculars aren't on the same page, so bring Brady Pierce in, see what he can do.
Right.
Now, EC3 and Adonis, if they would face each other for a chance at Tyrus, you could always have Tom Latimer come in and run interference. Look at EC3 and go, you messed with me, I messed with you. Sorry, it's just business. It's not strictly business, it's just business. He's a former partner of mine. I did what I had to do. It keeps that storyline. It all intertwines. But I do feel that EC3 needs to hold the national title at least through 75, if not through hard times. The last couple of years, hard times has been in either November or December. So that would take it almost to the end of the year. So that's a good 6-month run until they decide to run the Southern Six and the Thrillbilly push towards the national title again. Because he still has the story of EC3 going after Tyrus, and if I win, I hand the belt over to you. This national championship is yours to Thrillbilly. So it all intertwines. There's a good storyline that can be told. They just need to figure out what direction they want to go and hurry up and tell the story, but make it make sense. Because nothing against Tyrus. Great talker. He's a good representative of the National Wrestling Alliance, just not a good representative as champion.
Right.
That it's something we tried. It didn't work out as good as we thought. Let's move on. His name's still in the book as a heavyweight champion. So it's just time to move on in the next couple months.
I think that Steve G agrees. Get the belt off of him. NWA has been on a downward spiral since. How can Billy not see that? I don't know if they've been in a downward spiral, but what he sees is we've talked about it on this show before, the value of the 10 pounds of gold. I'm not going to say the 12 pounds of gold. That it has with Tyrus is to be on a probably Fox News' #1 television program 5 nights a week. It has 2.5 million viewers a night. I mean, that's the value in Tyrus. It's never been anything that he has in the ring. We all want a champion who can go in the ring because, well, I mean, I don't know about you, but by the time the two worlds don't intermingle for me very, very much. So, but that is the value. We did understand that what that value was. There was an experiment. We honestly don't know if it got any viewers. It's not something that we can measure.
Yep.
And if it did, okay. If it didn't, I mean, then let's change it out. I mean, let's change it out. But if it didn't, then I, I get it. Who would you pick, Dave, out of the two?
I think Adonis needs to be given a second chance and possibly even a small run just to shake things up. That he's done whatever has been asked of him, and I feel he's improved so much in the NWA. Plus, he has that it factor. He's a former WWF, WWE personality. He's known, and he does outside wrestling. And when I say outside wrestling, he's not just NWA. He's wrestled over in Poland. He wrestles up in Canada.
Right.
He would represent the NWA wherever he goes as a champion if he had that belt.
You know, the only I want Chris Adonis as NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. I do. The only thing about Chris Adonis that I like it as part of his personality and his character, but I don't know if it fits on a world champion, is that he's so slick. He's so just laid back and cool. You know, he comes out and he does that. You know, he does this. You know, there's quite often a lack of intensity around. He's having a great time.
Yeah.
And thank goodness for, you know, God bless him that he does. But
just had a light bulb go off.
Yeah.
Let's say at 75 it goes down as we've said, Adonis versus Tyrus, and Adonis wins. He's your new champion. Tyrus, head down, feeling bad. Everybody else has left him. He's by himself. Even if G's comes back, he's not sure what's going on. Adonis turns to him and goes, "Thank you for giving me a chance. I'm going to give you a chance. People are going to come after me. I want you to be my heater." All he has to do is be a bodyguard. It takes him out of the picture, but he's still in the championship picture. He's not a champion, but he's affiliated with the champion, and he's protecting that champion from being attacked.
Interesting. I had two other thoughts, and then we got to go. If you don't mind. One, what if EC3 takes that World's Championship and Tyrus and Chris Adonis challenge for the World Tag Team titles, which put your World Tag Team titles on Gutfeld? That's if that's important to Billy. The TV title was there for a year. You could still have a belt on that program, and it wouldn't, as much as I love tag team wrestling and I consider tag team wrestling world championships almost as much as the world title, it's not the same, right? So, but it is there. It's up there. You know, he and Chris Adonis could pull that off. The other is, and look, I don't want to discuss this because we got to get out of here. I got someplace I got to be. And we got some chat comments. Is who else could challenge if it wasn't for Chris Adonis or EC3? Who else has been talking trash to Tyrus? Who's the most dominant champion in the NWA? The NWA wouldn't be the first person to put a world championship up on the line in an intergender match, and Camille's beaten everybody. Anyway, before everyone starts screaming at me, Pollo hates that idea. Having him as a bodyguard as the world champ would look weak, and no self-respecting athlete would opt to go that route. Sure. Tomato. That's right. Mike says you can't measure viewers who bought a pay-per-view compared to regular NWA fans. We're talking about Tyrus there, and all that good stuff. So other challengers Willie has here: Odinson, Jack Stain, Bulletproof Group, and Kratos. All good challengers for sure. But guys, we got to get out of here. It's been 2 hours. The only 60-minute podcast. It takes 120 odd minutes to fulfill. Where can we find you gentlemen on social media? How about you, Dave?
You can find me at Dave Scooby on Twitter and Instagram, and at Dave Scooby1 on TikTok.
Jeremy?
You can find me over on Twitter at HJWOTS and on the YouTube at Worm5559.
You can find me at the at what am I? I am at the Alliance Gold. But most importantly, you could find the alliance-wrestling.com for all your needs, information around the NWA and everything else we say at the top of the show. And at the Alliance blog, do not forget that tomorrow night, JCal, DKM, and Jaden are interviewing. She's excited. Are interviewing Barrett Brown, who will be taking on Kerry Morton for the NWA World Junior Championship. That is tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Hello. With as I mentioned, Jaden, DKM, and JCal, and Jay, of course, the El Presidente, El Patron of this particular endeavor. Every Tuesday night, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific for the pre-party. Power. Did I get all the comments? Thank you, guys. Thank you. We really appreciate you being here each and every week.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
We are almost here for a year now. It'll be a year very shortly, and we'll certainly have to celebrate with some kind of contest. Until next time, however, we will see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.